Yo, what's up? My mother calls me Kyle, but you can call me Alex Ludovico. Living in Chicago, making hip hop from the heart. Man, that sounds cheesy as hell, but it's true. It's so true.
I'm going crazy, this shit got me going crazy. Got me going crazy. I'm going crazy, this shit got me going crazy.
Started freestyling with a bunch of friends, and then, I don't know, it was more of an attempt to fit in, I guess you could say, because, like, I don't know, I was always a weird kid. Like, I grew up in Gary, Indiana, and I'm like, hey, you guys like Silverchair? What's up? But, I mean, clearly Gary, Indiana is like maybe 92% black, so I was in a severe minority. And I mean, I always like certain hip-hop shit too. Like, my older brother, like, he always played like a lot of Dungeon Family, like Outkast stuff around me, a lot of Wu-Tang, so that's always been ingrained in me too. Like, so as far as the hip-hop that I did listen to, it was always like what people would consider the classics or whatever, so that definitely shaped my sound as an MC. The whole concept of Alex Ludovico, it's based on A Clockwork Orange. Alex is the main character's name. Ludovico comes from the Ludovico technique that they use in the book to take this person who they consider pure evil and get him to a point where he can't even think of committing something evil, or else it makes him physically ill. So the name is basically, to me, in a nutshell, in a summary, yin and yang. Everybody has two sides. No one is the same way 24/7. Like, when people meet me, I'm pretty much even keeled. Like, I don't really let on, but I know for a fact that there are definitely two sides to me, and then you have to come to terms with both sides of them, and then that's how you present yourself to the world. So that name to me is like, this is me. There is good and there is bad, like, from anything in life, from how you deal with people, how you process family interaction, relationships, all that kind of stuff. I don't know, there was a period maybe like 4 years ago where I was one of those kids that's just like, real hip hop, Dilla, son, Tribe Called Quest. But now that I'm like maybe like 4 years now, like, I listen to literally all kinds of music. Like, I'll listen to the most ignorant ghetto gangster ass shit possible, but then I'll still go and put on like a Common record like right after that. Or like I said, like, I mean, I grew up on the more alternative side listening to stuff, and that is still very much a huge part of me. It's like I gotta deal with this massive amounts of sound in my head and then try to process it and put it down into what works for me, or like how to make it like my sound. Like, one of my favorite quotes of all time is Pablo Picasso, and it's the good artist copy, but great artist steal. So, like, I knew before I got into making my own kind of music that I needed a good foundation of stuff to listen to in order to develop my own sound, or to figure out what I was gonna sound like. So, like, a lot of my earlier stuff sounds a lot like Eminem because he was a massive influence on me. But as I get older and develop my own sound and then discover all this new stuff, like, over the past week I've been listening to like 60s like French records and like Giorgio Moroder stuff, and just everything that I can get my hands on. I literally go through like maybe 4 or 5 albums a day.
People think that I'm obsessed with death. I think of it more than sex.
Definitely in the moods and ideas, like what the track would call for. Like, I never try to force something onto a beat or music that just doesn't fit. Like, I know a lot of people like have interchangeable verses, or like, I can take this out and use that. I've done that, but it's really rare. Like, every single note of a song specifically speaks to a certain idea that I have. In order to give it the feel that I want, it has to be very tailored. It's the difference between buying a suit off the rack versus going to a tailor. Like, a suit off the rack will work, yeah, it looks fine, but a tailored suit is gonna work every single time. So that's how I treat my music. I tailor make everything. A lot of times people don't take hip hop seriously just because it seems so easy to do, but like, the craft and the willingness to work and really put thought and process lyrics and play with words is basically the main thing that attracted me to doing hip hop. Was just that I could take my vocabulary and my really nerdy 6-year-old that used to sit around and read a dictionary, and then take these words and meld them and mold them and maybe slant them a little bit, but just to get a point across. Like, I was always more of a quiet kid, and like when I started rapping, that gave me a voice. And that definitely comes from all the music that I've processed since birth. Like, my whole life is pretty much music and nothing else.
Excuse me while I motherfucking spaz out.
It basically chronicles my personal issues with drugs. Like, when you hear a lot of songs about, like a lot of tracks about like drug usage, it's very one-sided. So with me, I try to take like both sides. Like, there's no reason to do drugs if there wasn't an awesome part to it. Like, if there's not something good for it. So I wanted to deal with that. Like, why do we do it? Why do we go out and do a bunch of blow, or why do we take a bunch of Molly before we leave the house, or like, what is the drive? But also deal with the come down parts of it. Like, how miserable do I feel when I wake up the next day, or how do I deal with all these side effects that I'm dealing with, and how does that affect the relationships I'm in? How does this make me process things with family or significant others or whatever? So the whole record, like, concept record sounds cheesy, but that's what it is basically. Like, kind of a chronicle of my personal life distilled into song form. And there's two sides to the record. One side's called the cocaine side, one side's called the heroin side. Cocaine side is obviously the big party, it's more upbeat stuff, it's more hip hop, more what you can dance to. And the other side of the record is the heroin side, which is the more coming down, the effects it has on relationships in my life, or the effects that it had on my day-to-day living, and how it got to the point where it was just like I couldn't do anything without the drugs. It's like going through a cathartic experience. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this is what you have to do to overcome it. It's completely individual. It's completely every single man for themselves. What works for me won't work for you, da da da. Fucking, if everything worked for everybody, there wouldn't be an industry full of diet pills and 800 infomercials on TV about fucking insanity ads, hip hop ads, blah. But, like, I don't know, I hope it just gives somebody an impetus to be like, okay, he's right. Like, the downside of this kind of sucks. I need to keep it in check. At no point do I say, like, ooh, give everything up, get your life together, blah, everybody love Jesus, or some bullshit like that. It's just that I need to vent in order to feel better, to get to the point where I control this, it doesn't control me. And so that's kind of what I've hoped to reach people with through this record.
Check it. I am Luke Skywalker of the shit talking. 1987, Andre Dawson, I swing awesome. Believe you lost it, your chance to compete. Can't dance with the man.